one, fight!
Doodlebud here. I was just about to shoot a totally different video, then I just happened to set these two pens beside each other while I was moving stuff around. Then I thought, wait a second, let's do a video of these two pens first. So here we are. We got the Pilot Custom 823 and the Twsbi VAX 700R Iris. So yeah, both vacuum fillers, very similar size pen, one gold nib, one not so gold. Let's get to it and talk about how they're alike, how they're unalike, and if I do like. So first up is just size-wise. Let's just spin them around. You can see they're pretty darn close to each other. Oh, whoops, I bumped it there. But as far as, we'll get some diameters going for you as well, but they're almost exactly the same size, pretty darn close to each other. Both screw cap pens with pretty trim. So this, the 823 here has gold trim. The VAX 700 Iris has titanium nitride, but you know, pretty looking trim to make, oh, won't focus, come on. Bear with me. There we go. So, but yeah, the trim looks very nice on both, you know, the caps as well, and the same trim combo lays over into the pens. So we're fitted with some pretty nibs too. Like, let's just zoom in so you can see them both. Here we go. So beautiful scroll work on both nibs. They're, you know, they look really sharp. This is probably one of the sharpest looking steel nibs I've seen with that coating on it as well. And look how pretty that Pilot gold nib is. They're fairly similar. This is like a number 6. This is a 15. The Japanese 15 size. So again, you can see they're pretty darn close as well. You know, feeds and all that stuff are different. They got their own setup, but even I'll get the calipers out in a second. You can see section lengths and diameters, threads and stuff. This is where it's a little bit different, but they're also both vac fillers, bands almost in the same spot and everything there too. So yeah, that's why it kind of stopped me. I thought we should do a video about these two pens because they're very close to each other, but of course they're very different price points. So let's just talk about, you know, is it worth it to get this one? And that's actually what I was going to shoot. I was going to do a gold versus steel nib video, so stay tuned for that. But I got interrupted by this brain fart of a video as well. So let's start going through the similarities, which we've done, and then some more differences as well. So first up is the weights. So we're talking 36 and change for the Twsbi. We're talking about 29. This doesn't have ink in it, so maybe another 1 to 2 grams. It's just a little bit of trace ink left. So, you know, a few grams more, maybe 4 or 5 grams more. Let's just test the pen caps while we're at it. 12.8 to 9.5. So a little lighter cap on that guy. That's going to roll away. Let me just do this. That will be the stop. So we got 19.3. This will probably actually be kind of close. Oh no, a little heavier still. And 23. So there we are for the differences in the weights. Okay, so to save you the pain of watching me measure stuff, I did that off camera, but I gave you some measurements. So capped, that's just the full length of the pen with the cap on like so. I'm zooming in here, but that's capped. So the Twsbi and the Pilot 1 millimeter apart. The pen itself, Twsbi's a little bit longer by about 2.5 millimeters. As far as diameters, so for the body, I just picked kind of somewhere in the middle. The Twsbi does have more of this little flare up, so I picked somewhere around here. So again, the body, Pilot's a little bit narrower by about 0.8 millimeters. However, the sections, this one's a little bit thicker than it is on the Twsbi. So pretty close numbers overall. It gives you an idea. And so for now, probably the area that these two pens differ the most, and that's just straight out cost. This one I picked up here locally at the Vancouver Pen Shop. If you're ever in town, pop on by. It's a great place. This is 110 Canadian plus tax. This one I just checked on Amazon is like 486 Canadian. Pen Chalet is where I bought mine from. The regular list price I saw was 360 US. It's on for 288 US. You convert that depending on the dollar. It's like, I think it's 460 or something like that. It's about $25 difference. But then I had a coupon and some other stuff, so I got a considerable more discount there too. But just on the surface, let's say it's, $350 to $375 versus 110. So now we're talking 3.25 to 3.4 or whatever, times the cost is this. You could say, well, you could have 3 of these for the price of one of these. Do you want 3 of those? I don't know. It's always an odd argument, but yes, so it is considerably more expensive. But also when you pay the premium for a gold nib, and this is what the video I was going to talk about, I'm going to bring up some of these points as well. You also get more than just the gold nib. You got gold trim all the way around too. Fit and finish and also design is typically better, and I'll give you a couple little examples, but one is just like the material itself, the plastic. It is a higher quality, whatever. I'm not a plastics materials guy. Whatever you want to call this versus whatever you want to call this. This is a higher quality. Threading. So this does thread nice, better than the Twsbi Eco. This does a better job. But you unthread a little bit there. Fair amount of wiggle. This one, gorgeous threads, barely wiggles there. So that's one area. Also, another, to compare this to these two pens with posting. The Pilot posts really nicely. Whoops. Don't know if I got ink everywhere there or not. The Twsbi does not. It just goes in and also it wiggles. And I'll show you why the Pilot, now that's not bad. It does fit my hand just fine. So I don't need to post this pen anyways. It would be too long if you posted it. The 823 fits in my hand nicely as well, but I just do like posting it. Now, the reason it posts now much better, and actually this posts much better than a lot of pens, and let me explain this to you as well. So this is just shows you design and engineering and putting your thinking cap on when you make a pen. So you can see in here these little ridges. Okay, you can see them in there. So what you don't want when you post a pen is you're trying to mate these two surfaces. What's happening here instead is you're just sitting, the back of the pen here is just sitting on these ridges that you see around here. You can see them, okay? So it does a very different job. You're just making contact with a few points. Now, technically, from an engineering standpoint, you define a plane with 3 points, like, right? So if you try to put a fourth one in there, even if you cut them all the same size microscopically, they're not. So you define a plane with 3 points. That's why they have a tripod, 3 legs, right? So it's the same kind of concept here. This guy just doesn't have a hope in hell, doesn't go deep, but also you have this long surface that you're trying to mate it to on this one too, and it's going to rattle. Okay, same thing. This happens in all sorts of pens. This pretty little pen, oh yeah, it posts and it's secure, yeah, but it does this. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. This happens on almost all your pens because you're just trying to touch that entire surface on this entire surface, and only two small, yes, they're conical, but when they finally meet, it's a very small surface they're actually making contact. So again, this posts nicely. I write with a Post-it, but wiggle, 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 wiggle. So this happens pretty much on almost all your pens, but that is one thing that the Pilot did very well. Same thing, posts nicely, but wiggle, 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 okay? Is they made it, they understand this concept when you're touching surfaces, that it's just going to make contact on a few ridges as well. So you pay more, you get more. Little things like that maybe you don't notice. Those are things I notice all the time. You know, they come apart the same way. You can pull the nib and feet out nice and easy. You know, these are inks, so I don't want to do too much, but they just unscrew there, the section from the body. Same thing unscrews. You got the plunger action. Twsbi is the same, right? Unscrews, right? One win for the Twsbi. It comes with the little wrench. So you don't need to use the wrench with just your regular filling. But if you want to get in, disassemble, to take the pen apart a little bit further, better cleaning or servicing and stuff, they have it. The Pilot doesn't include it, but you take the wrench from here, fits on here, the metal wrench, not the plastic one. The plastic one won't work on there. So that's another little difference there as well. But all in all, they're very good pens. So I did this video because I set them down and thought they're so close. And if you have this guy and you're thinking of putting out the extra coin to buy this guy, maybe this will help you. Or if you're the other way around, you love this pen and thought, I should give this guy a whirl. Yeah, so if you like this one, you'll probably like that one. And if you love this pen and you want a gold version of this pen, what could you get as a gold version? Well, like I showed you, they're pretty similar. So if you really like this one and want a gold version, there you go as well. Now, I'll just quickly wrap up with a writing sample. Feel free to check my full reviews of each pen on their own. We'll do a writing sample, then we'll wrap this up. Okay, so here we'll put Twsbi. This is the VAC 700R. Iris, and this is in a fine. Now, keep in mind, I'll show you in a second, they are both fines. And out of the box, I would say they'd be identical, but now you'll see it's a little bit different. I had to do a little work on this Pilot just because it's a bit scratchy. I think I just got a bit of a dud nib that's just not quite perfect. And so I've smoothed it, but coincidentally, well, not coincidentally, as a result of that, it now writes a little bit wider. So let's just go, I'll just put it side by side right here. I'll go underneath. So you can see it's a little bit wider. And then let's do wetness. This guy they're both wet, but this guy is really wet. You can just see it pour out the ink. And it's the same inks. They both have the same ink in them as well. All right, let's get you a close-up view. Okay, so there you have it. Pilot 823, this is the Twsbi, both in fines. As I mentioned, the Pilot I had to rework a little bit just to remove the scratchiness. Still not quite 100%, but it is a little bit of a fatter line now when it comes to a fine. I'm just trying to get you in real close. There you go there. So, but I will tell you, out of the box, the Pilot was a little more narrow, very, very close to the Twsbi as well. So there you have it. Hope that helped you out. I thought, why not? Let's do it. On to the next video. Thanks again for everyone who's been subscribing and commenting and liking, or even giving me a thumbs down. If you don't like it, that's fine. Catch you later.